Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 24 of From the Van. It's a podcast from my van, where I have conversations with people who have relationships with residential vehicles. Today's episode features Ellie and Sandon. They have a 170-inch Mercedes Sprinter that they are finishing converting into a camper van. This is actually really cool. It's the first episode that we have where we're interviewing a couple that has yet to move into their van. And they're about to hit the road full time, and it's a really exciting time for them. And despite the fact that we didn't know that they existed like 5 hours before we recorded the podcast, we really hit it off with them. They're a super cool couple. They have 2 young wiener dogs. They're super cute that we didn't get to meet. And yeah, we talked to them about what their apprehensions are about moving into the van, their van, and both of them have creative photography gigs that I think are probably going to allow them to be, completely nomadic and mobile, which is something that Colette and I and Spin really aspire to. So here it is, episode 24 of From the Van, featuring That Loud Motorcycle coming by and Ellie and Sandon.
Is that the thing you were telling us about, the kettle?
That's an Instant Pot.
Yeah.
See, it's not that big.
Yeah,
No,
that's
it's
pretty.
legit.
We could fit that.
And it's awesome.
Yeah. The best way to put it into perspective, I don't know if you guys have ever made black beans.
Yeah.
From dry black beans.
Yeah.
It takes for fucking ever.
Yeah, you
right?
have to like soak them.
You soak them overnight, you rinse them, you simmer them for 2 hours or whatever. You can have dry black beans right out of the grocery store into that thing, and they are ready to eat in 50 minutes.
Wow.
With like everything. No soaking. Oh, you
Yeah,
just
it's
rinse
great
them
to
and
get
put
one
them in
of
there.
those.
Do you put like water in it or something?
Yeah. And then we've got this, I'll show it to you later, but we've got these little bento box things that fit down into the inner pot. And so we can actually do curry and rice at the same time. So you have a whole meal. It's so freaking cool.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's really good.
So, Ellie and Sandon, welcome to the van.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. You guys are both from Michigan.
Yep.
We're in the Motor City for the first time tonight.
The Motor City, is that
Welcome.
what they call
I think so, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it? Not heard
Yeah,
of it.
Motor
I've never
City.
been to Michigan.
This is where GM was, is that right?
I think
It
it
is?
still is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
GM before
Still
the
is.
apocalypse.
It's where the worst sporting teams are.
Oh, yeah.
Aww.
We still cheer for
The
them.
Lions did okay last year.
No.
Did better than
It
normal,
wasn't
right?
great, but,
Better than usual. Fair enough.
yeah.
So this is cool. You guys, we just met a minute ago, and you guys are about to move into a van.
Yes.
Are you
Yep.
scared?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little scary.
Yeah.
I mean, not knowing like what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Sure.
What are you working on? What is your setup?
Will you answer that one?
We got a 2019 Sprinter 170,
Okay.
high roof, and we're doing kind of the full build out in it. We've got a bathroom, shower situation,
Oh, wow.
fridge. We were just talking about the solar that we got set up on it.
Mm-hmm.
Bench, like a U-shaped bench in the back that's going to drop down into a bed. It does drop down in bed. I don't know what other like features to highlight
Cool.
in it, but it's close. It's close. It's almost there.
Good. And you're building it out at one of your
My
parents'
parents.
Her parents'
Yeah.
barn, yeah.
Yep, the barn.
Barn.
My dad's been
That's
helping
so
us a
fun.
ton, so
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We wouldn't be able to do it without him and without
No.
our cabinet guys. They
they were awesome.
they
So.
pulled through for us, so that was sweet.
So, what's your dad has a workshop or a bunch
He's
of
a
tools
car
or something?
salesman, so
Okay.
he like sells used cars. So he has a big barn that he can like get them like washed in and cleaned
Okay.
up in, and like it's huge. It's like this huge pole barn. I
This is
don't know
not some crummy ass barn where
No,
you're like
this
stepping
is
on
like a
rusty nails and
huge,
shit.
like
Yeah.
nice, like clean.
Yeah.
Not clean now because we've kind of destroyed
Yeah,
it. Sorry, Dad.
we're the ones making a mess in there for sure.
We'll clean it up before we leave.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's Archie's home. It's his.
Yeah.
Yeah, then there's like a little apartment attached, so we can kind of like crash there and get up early and work on the van. So.
What's the deal with your cabinet guys?
Who are your cabinet guys?
Crimson Oak out of Mason, Michigan.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a stress for us because I am not a carpenter by any means, and they could definitely bear witness to that because we had like the bathroom and stuff up, and they were like, "So do you want us to make the countertop crooked to match your wall?" It's like, yeah, if you could do that, that'd be great. So
and they pulled through it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Are they
Cabinets
just
are great.
cabinet makers, or do they specialize in vans?
No,
like,
they
with the
do
weird
like
shapes.
they do like just all sorts of like woodworking.
Okay.
And then we told them about our project, and they were just super interested. And
Did you
was
know
like,
these
"Oh,
guys
yeah."
beforehand?
No. So my grandpa actually used to make like, we have tons of furniture from him, like all sorts of stuff, and he actually passed away the day that we purchased the van. And
Oh wow.
he was like really excited, you know, like he was in hospice, so we kind of knew he was going to pass away. But so yeah, he kind of was really excited for us because he loved traveling in his RV and like was excited to like help us. And so he passed away, and then it was like, oh, okay, like what are we gonna do? Like, you know.
Yeah,
so we found these guys, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
So cool.
He traveled in like I think they said they started on 24-foot RV. That was like what they loved to do. And they had like a whole book of like all their adventures and stuff that we have. But yeah, he built houses, so it was like we were so looking forward to building it, and just like even just having him just to be there, like telling us what to do or anything would have been like so massive to like us getting this done. And then like we didn't have him anymore, so having these other guys that kind of like came in and helped us with the project was
It was
huge.
cool.
Fill in the gap. That's
Yeah.
super cool.
They were awesome. So
Well, so your grandpa was super into it. Well, what? This is a question I love hearing different answers to. Is like, what are the different permutations of support and anxiety from your loved ones, your close group of friends and family and stuff?
Everyone was like, "What? Are you serious? You want to live in a van? Like, what?"
Yeah.
But then I think once you like show them what you want to do and kind of like explain to them why you want to do it, it kind of just makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Well, Pops is letting you use this place to build it
Yeah,
out, so
no.
you can't be that against
I'm a
it,
daddy's
right?
girl, so I think
Okay.
like it's always been like whatever you want, like
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So
Right.
I think he's a little sad, but we're like moving away kind of. But I'm like, this is like best case scenario.
Mhm.
We're not like moving to California.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, we can come back.
Go
We have
there.
wheels.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Would-
then-
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I've been working like from the road and traveling a lot for what I do, so for me it kind of just made sense. I think my family's biggest question that I kept getting was like, why are you gonna build it yourself? Why don't you just like buy an RV or something?
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's not like it doesn't fit exactly like what we need it to do, so that's kind of like the biggest like explainer to get over.
Well, we'll skip the timeline and go straight to that. What is your plan? What do you need it to do? What are you gonna do? What is your why are you doing this?
I'm a freelance videographer, photographer, drone pilot, kind of Swiss Army knife of media and photo video type of stuff. So for me, it's like I've been working in the automotive space for a long time, like all the car magazines and stuff, which for that, it's like we were always driving all over the country. And that's kind of like when we met. That was the first thing. It was like, hey, I got to get this car from like Michigan, California. Like, you want to come with me? Like, heck yeah. So we were super into like doing those long road trips and all that kind of stuff. And I always wanted like a production van that I could like work out of.
Yeah.
Have all my gear with me and not have to worry about like hopping flights and checking batteries and stuff through TSA and all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's like just having that like mobile live workspace where it's like I can go to wherever like gigs are for me and all that kind of stuff. It's just huge.
I think we should probably close the door.
Let's do it.
It's real loud out there.
It is.
Somebody music just started happening.
Jazz Fest is making its way.
Yeah, Jazz Fest.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I want you to do extra work to fix the sound this week.
Yeah, last week's episode was really loud.
Oh man.
And we're right up against a concrete wall, which bounces
it's like
sound really
bouncing.
gnarly.
Yeah.
But you're a photographer too.
Yeah, so I shoot boudoir photography.
Cool.
So yeah.
Describe that to me, because when I think boudoir photography, I think sort of like it's like porn that's not quite porn.
Yeah,
It's like,
no, for sure. So, I guess I started out doing weddings and families, and I like wasn't super crazy about it. And I've always been really into like women's rights and just being involved with women and kind of like helping them get past stuff and be women and just live it up. And so one of my friends wanted me to do a shoot for her, and I was like, okay, like I'll try it. But mainly it's like intimate portraiture, just kind of like helping empower women, making them feel good about their bodies. And, you know, a lot of women just aren't super like crazy about their bodies just because society has taught them not to.
Sure.
So kind of like helping women kind of re-love themselves and, you know, just love who they are and love their bodies no matter what, you know. So
are you taking shots for individuals or publications?
Yep.
Or?
Nope, right now I'm just doing individuals. I actually had my last day in my studio yesterday. And so right now, after this, we'll be coming back to Michigan every couple months, doing hotel shoots. Next weekend, I actually have a shoot at the Siren Hotel downtown here. And then I have another one lined up for November. So, and then hoping to like do stuff on the road.
Yeah.
And just kind of like empower women and make them feel good. And yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's kind of what that is. It's not like porn. I mean, I guess
she just elbowed me for the second time.
That's probably what you would think. Like when you see it, you're like, oh, like naked photos, like lingerie, like okay, like.
Well,
makes ladies feel good about themselves and confident. I totally get you.
The less crass distinction that I think of is sort of the difference between burlesque and stripping.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like. A lot of the burlesque is less about like dudes getting off and more about this artistry of the beautiful like human form and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long ago did you guys meet? What's your story?
Almost 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago, something like that.
Not very long. Like we haven't known each other for that long.
We met in
Cancun.
Yeah, in Cancun.
Oh.
Mexico?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I met in Cancun.
It was my cousin's wedding, and she was the photographer.
Yeah. I was friends with his cousin.
Right?
And they never, like, mentioned him or anything. And it was just like...
Yeah, I just moved to California.
We met, and it was like, oh, hey, like, you're a photographer, I'm a photographer.
Cousin?
I know, right? I mean, I was, like, dating other people, but it was, like, still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super fun.
Yeah, and then he was living in LA for the first 9 months that we were together, so we did long distance, and...
Wow.
Yeah, she'd come out and visit, and all I had was my motorcycle, so it's just like, all right, hop on, like, let's go.
Yeah.
I could get cars from the magazine, so we'd do that, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we started, like, our relationship started, like, on the road.
Yeah.
Traveling back and forth. And all that,
Right.
So, I don't know, that's what we love, just getting out.
Very cool. Tell me the mattress story. We were going through your Instagram earlier, and we saw this like bright red mattress.
Yeah,
it was
no,
really
it's a good
pretty.
story.
Like, how does that fit into the equation?
I've moved back and forth from California, like within the span of a couple of years, and I could get cars through the magazine, like if I pitched manufacturers' ideas. So I had the idea originally to move out to California in a Sprinter 144, and they hooked me up with like the 4-wheel drive version. So I like loaded my motorcycle in it, and my buddy and I threw our mountain bikes in and went out to where did we go first? Went out to Colorado, like Aspen, Snowmass, mountain biked out there, and then Utah to like the whole Enchilada Trail out in Moab. And Mercedes liked that story, so when I decided to move back to Michigan, I said I got less stuff now, so what about a mattress? So I was able to load all my stuff up into that, and the two of us drove back, and we hit up what we hit first. We hit Zion on the way back.
We did Zion,
and then
Canyonlands.
Yeah, Canyonlands. There's like really cool, what's it called? Under canvas?
Yeah, arches. Well, they have a lot under canvas, like Zion, under canvas, arches.
Like canvas tents, like outside like national parks.
Okay.
That you can, like, stay in.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah, and it like overlooks the national park.
Yeah,
Wow.
we weren't camping in the mattress. I had it packed full of all my stuff, but
we
but
found some like Airbnbs, and we stayed in like an Airstream. Was that the first trip? Airstream.
yeah, that was Airstream.
That was that, and then we
Aspen.
went back to the treehouse where
Yeah.
he proposed.
Yeah, I
Aww.
proposed in the treehouse in
Lyons, Colorado.
Lyons.
Yeah.
Right on.
Cool.
So are you guys married now? Or?
Yeah,
Yep.
we've
So
been married
engaged?
for almost 2 years.
Okay.
Well, no, more than 2 years. We just had a 2-year anniversary. Whoops.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Super cool.
Yeah, so, after traveling and moving twice in a Mercedes van, it was like, why don't I just move into a Mercedes van? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was traveling so much for work, so it was like I was just home working with the dogs and like never leaving the house. So it was like,
yeah,
why not just
more
do
fun
this?
when we can all go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Your whole
You have two
house.
dachshunds.
Yep. 2 little wiener dogs.
What are their names?
Love it.
Pixel and Ilford.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're 2 and 6 months?
Yeah,
right?
almost 2 years and 6 months. 7
Okay.
years, 6 months.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Too bad we didn't get to meet them. We'll see them in California.
Next
Yeah.
time, yeah. It's gonna be an adjustment for them.
So what's your timeline?
We're headed to Nashville in
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
It's like takeoff day. Like
Okay.
Yeah, actually, it
Real-
is 2 weeks. This is what, the 15th, something like that.
yeah,
In September.
something like that.
Wow.
But yeah, and our lease was up with our place in Southfield, Michigan, end of September, which we're kind of ramping that up because we're going to be gone before then anyway.
Mhm.
So, but that was kind of like our, end of the mark for
Ultimatum.
for getting our van done was our lease being up. So
Yeah.
we are going to head down to Nashville and then up to New Jersey,
Yeah, we're gonna hit like some national parks on the way to New Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
and
Smoky
then
Mountain.
New Hampshire,
What's the other one? Shenandoah.
Maine. Yeah,
Yeah,
Shenandoah.
go up to Maine.
What's the
and
park in Maine?
Acadia National Park.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Never
so we go
been.
there.
I've been to Maine
And
one
never been to
time.
Yeah,
Maine.
it's supposed to be amazing in the fall.
Yeah.
So
The East Coast is,
Yeah.
and the Midwest too. I'm
Yeah.
sure. I used to live in New York, and the fall it was my first
Yeah.
real fall ever. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous
fall's
everywhere.
pretty cool here.
Oh, I bet. Yeah,
It's probably like the best time of year.
that's been my favorite everywhere I've
Yeah.
lived.
Yeah, that was sort of our thinking.
The
Except for
weather
LA.
and
When I lived in LA, February is my favorite month.
Oh
Really?
yeah.
Because 60 degrees the whole time.
Yeah.
And I run hot. Like,
Same.
Well, where in LA?
I lived in Hollywood.
Okay.
Oh wow.
How about you?
I don't know exactly know where I was. You know where Ernest E. Debs Park is? Off of the 110,
It's
just
like
north
just
of downtown.
South of Pasadena, right? Like,
Yeah, it was like south of South Pasadena, but north of downtown.
Over on the yellow line. See, I didn't have a car.
See, I didn't
The
either. I
whole
just had
time
my
I was
motorcycle.
living in LA, and so I was like, I was Surface Street guy.
Okay.
You know, like
Okay,
I knew
yeah.
Surface Streets pretty well, but
Yeah.
I don't know where the 110 is.
But like we're
Which makes
what was
me
it?
very unusual.
Yeah, right. That's how everybody gets around. It's just the freeway numbers.
Yeah,
But it was
that's
like the
California.
4th Street Bridge that cuts across the other
Uh-huh.
river. It's like straight north of there.
Oh, okay, cool.
But
Highland Park sort of area. is
yeah,
that
Highland Park.
right? Yeah, okay.
Like I said, I had a Los Angeles address, but like trying to tell people exactly where I was I don't know. I'm kind of like
Sure.
in between.
Yeah.
Well, that's hotter than Hollywood, even Highland Park, man. Oof.
Just love all the fall colors, and like the weather's nice, and then it
Yeah.
just gets really colorful, and the air is nice.
Mhm.
And then it
Mhm.
just gets gray.
Trees, yeah. Then it all falls off, and then it's just like, oh, everything's dead and cold.
Yeah.
Here's another appliance/amenity question about your van. Are you building your van out to be 4 seasons so that you can come be where you're from when it's terrible?
I
'Cause
don't want to come back in
Okay.
the winter. I'm like against that. Like we already told our families we're not coming home for Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So they're coming to Nashville. We're meeting them in Nashville.
Cool.
Oh nice.
So I guess no. Because I
Yeah.
don't want to come back in the
Uh-huh.
winter.
We have the option to like add
Yeah,
like,
we
diesel
could.
heater and all that kind of
We're
stuff.
kind of like
but-
just winging it right now and seeing
Mhm.
what we need from
Yeah.
here. So we didn't want to
Like-
like add everything and then like be like,
Yeah.
oh, we don't need this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can I slap more stuff on?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have friends who put they're from Arizona, and they put a big AC on top of their van.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, we need it when we're in Arizona in the
They're like,
summer,
yeah, we started in Arizona.
Yeah.
but we don't really need it because we're mobile now, and
Yeah.
so we don't want to be with places where it's 110 degrees.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
no.
So, yeah, then you
Just
don't have
avoid
to.
it.
You don't
Yeah.
have to be where there's
Yeah,
a bunch
just
of
avoid
snow or.
Well, I don't really want to be driving in the snow either. Like your house on
No.
wheels in the snow. Like that's terrible. It's
Yeah.
terrifying enough having your house on wheels in general.
Mhm.
Like I hope no one runs into me today. Like
Yeah.
Or if they do, let it be someone with a really expensive vehicle.
yeah.
Bentley
Well,
SUV or something,
Right.
whatever that
Pay
is.
for the next one, and then some.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, avoiding the snow.
Why did you choose to get a Mercedes?
Wheelbase. It was the biggest one, basically. We didn't get the biggest. It's not an extended, but it's. We figured we wanted the shower, we wanted the storage space for our equipment, and just kind of the general living space. It's kind of like, all right, we're going with a big van.
Yeah.
The Mercedes just offered that much more room over like the Transit or the ProMaster.
Mhm.
So that was just kind of the the conclusion there.
We went back and forth for a while.
Yeah, and we were trying to find like used stuff around here.
It's hard.
But Michigan's not like a great used market, be it with weather and
Salt.
all that.
Everything was like rusted out.
Yeah, and a lot of people used them as like, contractor vehicles, landscape vehicles, that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. So a lot of them were beat up. So
Yeah, I mean, how big is van life around here? Like, how did you get into it?
I got into it just because like I got exposure to, the big vans by working at the magazine. I got to go like up on like when Mercedes came out with the 4x4 Sprinter. I got to go to British Columbia when they like launched it for like the media and stuff, and we did like a media drive up there, and I was like, that would be so cool to have like a production van like this where you could just freaking have all your gear and like your editing system and all that, and like just go and just sleep in this thing and get your work done type of deal. So that was kind of like what my introduction to it was.
Yeah.
And then somewhere along the way, I don't know where you started bringing it up.
Yeah, I mean, I had been working from home for like almost 2 years, maybe. Yeah, I mean, a little under 2 years, and we only had one car. So for me, like, I was always just trapped inside, kind of. And I love traveling. Like I've always said, like, if I could do anything, it'd be travel. Just be on the road all the time. And I don't know, it just kind of like, I think I saw something on Instagram or something, and I was like, oh my gosh, we should do this. And usually when I get an idea and I like really want to do something, it's like set in my brain, and I'm like, we have to do like, I just like don't like, you're like, that's all you're focused on, and you just like can't think about anything else. So it kind of was just like, he was on board, and then it was like, okay, let's do this.
Start snowballing.
I'm such a slacker until something grabs me. And then I have this work ethic that's almost like demonic.
Right.
It's like way too much.
Yeah, she told me the other day, she was like, we got our van 2 months ago. I was like,
no shit.
Yeah,
It's like,
you guys are crushing it.
I was like, I didn't even
2 months
realize.
ago.
And then I checked the Instagram feed, and it was like, sure enough, I looked like on the 25th, and 25th we had it. And I had just pulled the cargo divider out of it.
Yeah.
Like, damn. What?
So
Moving
crazy.
fast.
So crazy.
Wild. How are the dogs on road trips?
Pixel's good.
They're good in the car.
Yeah, they're really good in the car. They just sleep.
Yeah.
They've been, well, Ilford's been spending a lot of time in the van with me.
Yeah, he's
driving
been
back and forth. He doesn't care.
But yeah, they kind of, living where we live, haven't had a ton of like exposure. Like when we lived downtown, like we would bring Pixel here to the brewery all the time. And I think over the winter, he kind of like got a little like anti-dog and people. I don't know really what happened, so we kind of got to
cabin fever.
Yeah,
fever
it's gonna suck at first, I think, with the dogs, but I think they'll get used to it eventually. So
They're barkers.
Luckily,
they bark at everybody.
they're dachshunds. They bark at everybody.
Yeah, and luckily they're small, so they'll
Yeah.
be like, oh, this
Yeah.
is a huge house.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
That's so true about dachshunds. Taffy my sister's
They
dachshund
bark at everything.
just barks and
Yeah.
barks. She's real
Incessant.
old now, and she's like losing some of her sight, I think. And she just barks and barks, and she'd bark at me. And my sister's gone at college, and I come back, and I'm like, dude, I feed you. Why are you barking at me? Like, you know who I am. She's so funny.
Yeah, it happens. They're dogs. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
However, we have like other like weird things that we're like discussing, figuring out, because we have like a ramp for them to get into bed at home.
Oh.
So we're like, all right, how do
we're
we
gonna
like,
do this.
Oh, right.
how do we fit a ramp?
because they have back. Like dachshunds are known for having back problems. So
Well, in our one, he gets on everything. Like I don't even know
he can
how.
go. He could probably jump on the top of this van right now.
Wow.
Whoa.
He's so crazy.
He figures it out. He's like a cat. I don't understand.
Yeah, wow.
Like a cat.
That's funny.
Yes.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that with this guy. The key is how to keep him from getting into stuff, because he's
Oh
like
yeah.
deviously smart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Opening up the
He really
cabinets.
is.
He hasn't gotten into the cabinets, but he did get way up under the bed and tore through 2 like ripstop nylon laundry bags to get to Colette's underwear recently.
And my swimsuits the other day.
Oh,
that were
no.
way up. And I'm like, his food bag is like under where I'm sitting right now. His like backup food bag. And my swimsuits were just as far up as the food bag. And I'm like,
Use
what?
more interest.
You didn't want to go after your food?
Yeah,
Like,
what?
We
much
think of
more
that shit every
tasty.
day. You know what I mean?
It's like I get this
I'm
all
like,
the time.
swimsuits?
Only
Really?
get to taste swimsuits every now and again. This is a delicacy.
It's very weird.
They have like a pelican case for your clothes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Basically.
I'm like,
Basically.
next van, we gotta have a bulletproof laundry bag.
Let's talk technology. What are you guys shooting on? You have a tiny old
super
film Canon right now.
Yeah, this is Canonet QL17. She got me this a little while ago. This is the second one I've
Yeah.
had,
Nice.
but this is just
We
like
have
a
too
good
many cameras.
street.
I'm like, you need to
Camera.
narrow it down before we move into the van because
Oh,
they're not gonna fit.
Yeah, that's where the rest go in the barn.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
professionally, we shoot on a Nikon D810 for photo.
Okay.
Mhm.
She's got one too.
Yep.
Just keeps the system the same for
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah,
both.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
That way,
we
if
got-
one breaks, it's kind of like, oh, can I borrow your camera?
Yeah, redundancies.
hmm
For video, we usually shoot on like Sony stuff, but yeah, then the drones.
Are you building your own drones?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
Crazy.
I've never even looked into that. How does that work?
I grew up like playing with remote control cars and stuff, building
Okay.
out RC, cars for racing and all that. So
Yeah.
to me, it was kind of like when I started getting into drones, I was like, well, you're gonna be crashing this thing regardless, like no matter how good
Yeah.
it is. So it's like if you build one, then you can just fix it and keep
Uh-huh.
flying it. Plus, you get to do more. You could build it to what you want it to do. So it's like my stuff is kind of more like a racing drone with like a GoPro slapped on it type of a
Uh-huh.
deal. So, I mean, I come from shooting cars. So to me, it was like, man, if I could be like flying over this field right now while this car's going like 60 miles an hour next to me,
Right.
then it's like, that's a sick shot that no one else can get. So,
Yeah.
so that's kind of like what got me into it. And it's just been kind of progressing from there, just building
Uh-huh.
different ones and trying to figure it out.
Do you have jobs set up across the country where you guys are going right now, or?
That's why we're going down to Nashville, then up to New Jersey, New Hampshire. We're kind of following like where I know some people that are interested in, what I'm doing with my flying. And I've got like friends that are in various forms of media industry. So just kind of lining up gigs with them where we can, go shoot like a venue space or something like that, things that I can fly through for them. Or up in New Hampshire is Iron and Air motorcycle magazine. So I got friends that work there. So hopefully line it up and chase some motorcycles down some back road type of stuff.
Cool.
But
All right.
yeah, it's fun. It's definitely like a little like more niche than like, throwing a Mavic up in the air and just getting kind of like the aerial perspective type of stuff. But it's fun. It's like,
Well, there's an advantage to that. A huge advantage to that, right? Because it's like fewer people are doing it.
fewer people are doing it. It's definitely more sketchy. But it's I mean, I think people are kind of like, it's the footage that a lot of like the guys that I follow is getting out there, like the Johnny FPV type of stuff, or like Air Blaster. Those guys are just totally killing it, and they're definitely like bringing like a new perspective to a lot of people that are realizing that you can get shots like that. So I definitely see it as like a growing thing to where you're going to be seeing a lot more, drones flying through tight gaps and like around buildings and like closer to people and stuff. Like those are the ones that I'm working on right now, is like getting it as small as you can and then like closing off the props. So like you were talking about like your dog getting in your drone the other day.
Right,
It's like,
right.
If you close off the props, then you just kind
banging
of
into
bounce off.
somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like nearly as sketchy as it is like trying to fly a Mavic or something close to something. But,
So are you literally attaching to a GoPro to the thing, or okay?
yeah,
Oh,
GoPro
wow.
360 camera,
Okay.
whatever. But yeah, trying to get them smaller, faster.
Yeah, cool. I was telling you earlier that those are my favorite. That's my favorite thing about the drone. It's not even that like you can get a giant landscape shot of something. It's that you can get a perfectly stabilized crane shot that would have cost you $40,000 to get 5 years ago, because you can program like a flight pattern into the thing and get the exact shot of some people hanging out on a patio instead of having to drive a fucking giant piece of equipment onto the place or whatever.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny. I think a lot of people think of it as kind of like an alternative to like a helicopter shot, but it's like I've always thought of it as like I want to be like it's just a floating camera.
Yeah.
You can get it wherever you
Yeah.
want to.
Right. Jumping back to the whole like introduction to the van life situation. Colette asked how you guys got into it, and who were we talking to the other day? Oh, the guys from Pittsburgh. So there's some dudes from Pittsburgh in the improv class that I took in Chicago, and the guy, he and his girlfriend are thinking about doing it, and he was like, "Can I see your van?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, that's like, I get off on that. Let me get in a tour, you know."
Yeah.
And Jenny and Alex, the German and the I don't know if you guys heard that episode, but they live in San Diego now. She's from Tennessee, he's from Germany.
Oh, yeah.
And they had never seen a van.
Yeah.
Like before they built, other than theirs, they
Yeah.
had never seen one. And that's a wonderful thing about like living in a vacuum away from wherever the popular thing
Yeah,
is popular.
for sure.
Is you can still do it anyway because you can get schematics and tutorials and all of that. But it seems like even more terrifying if you've never like been able to sit in one. Did you guys
Yeah.
have examples close by?
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
now that you mention it, I never even thought about it, but this is the first
is the
like
first,
built
like,
out
built
living
van that we've
quarter
been in.
van
Yeah.
like I've been in, aside from like an RV or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think
Yeah.
like an Airstream Sprinter.
Yeah,
but that
no, I
was,
mean,
like,
we never
luxury
like,
hotels.
we stalked a lot of Instagram stuff.
Yeah.
Like what
Yeah.
we want. We kind of based it off of Sarah and Alex James. Like we bought their plan,
Yeah.
the 40
Okay.
Hours of Freedom people. We bought their plan. We didn't like follow it really. We just bought it to kind of like,
It was more like dimension, like they
Yeah,
have blueprints and stuff,
dimensions
and kind of basic wiring diagrams to give you an
so
idea.
we kind of knew that that's kind of the layout we wanted
Yeah.
after
Okay.
discussing it forever.
Then we modified it a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
But no, I mean, I like I say, I did my traveling a little bit in the Sprinter, and I don't know, just kind of like had some general ideas from like, buddy,
We got a.
Aw.
buddy,
You
Uh-oh,
okay,
baby.
bud?
Oh, we have a. You have a
Too
poopy
much.
bag?
Too much.
Aw.
Uh-oh.
much
We might want to
buddy.
put this on hiatus for like 3 minutes because that's gonna stink like a motherfucker.
Stop that.
Buddy.
Well, that's a first.
So we
but-
got a dog vomit. All right, we'll be right back after these messages.
Okay, this is harder to clean.
How about we put the towel
Keeps a little bit.
underneath him, just in case.
Just in
In case
case.
you gotta do it again, baby. I'm sorry.
Do you have too much beer?
You have too much to drink.
No.
Oh,
The only time the van's gotten hit was during a podcast.
that was very funny. We
Yes.
were sitting in the van, and
In
it's
West
the Jared
Hollywood.
Tachi episode 9 or something. It was the first one I was on, and yeah, we're in Hollywood. We got all the doors open because it's real fucking hot out, and somebody drove by and like hit the mirror. And I got out to like go look around, and she was like, "I'm so sorry. I was just like missed it. I'm on my way." And I looked, and I was like, "Oh, everything's fine. You're
Oh.
good."
The only person driving in Los Angeles County who's not an
I
asshole.
know
Right,
she
yeah.
like actually stopped. She apologized. She just keep going. I was like, it was all good.
So now we've
So
had
that
a
was
little,
pretty funny. So now we had a little sick puppy.
little mid-pod vom. All right,
Aw.
Dude.
let's
Did
get back
you
on
go
track.
Too hard, too fast.
What else do we have? Booger?
Yeah. I don't know. What else do you guys have? So,
Yeah,
what's on your mind? What-
Where do we leave off?
I don't know.
I know.
Like-
You were about to start talking about equipment and technology, or did we?
Oh, yeah.
We've
You
been
got through
talking
all
about.
that.
We
Yeah.
got on the drone nerd situation.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
all
we were
good.
Yeah.
drone nerding.
Drone nerd now.
Oh, yeah, well, on that, actually, on the speedy FPV thing, like, the drone looks really fast when you fly it, because I've just got, like, a little consumer drone, and I had never tried this before, but I was like, oh, Colette, get in the passenger seat, and I'm going to film the van driving, and I'm flying as hard as I can.
Oh, so she was driving.
She was driving. I'm
Right.
sitting in the passenger
Yeah.
seat. And we were going like 30 miles an hour and I couldn't keep up with the van.
Yeah.
And then B, I think you can turn this off on the drone that I have, but the drone was set to only fly 500 meters from the GPS origin point. And so we're driving
So it's
down the
going
street and we're
higher.
going
It's like,
30
no.
miles an hour. And it just started hovering and I'm like, come on. And I'm like, okay, obstacle detection is not letting it fall. No, there's nothing near it. What's going
like
on?
in the middle of cornfields.
There's just like this field of no departure or whatever.
You got to get on the racing drone with the goggle situation. That's that was
That
what I
scares
was.
the shit out of me.
And the latest video that I posted, if you check out my Instagram, was me. I'm sitting in the passenger seat of my buddy in his BMW, and we're going like 60. It's just like down a straight road, but it's like I'm cruising over cornfields and stuff next to him, or
cool.
getting right up next to the car and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like playing a video game.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's fun.
Super cool. Well, so what are the big like questions that you have about the van? Because you're right on the precipice of jumping into it for probably a relatively extended period, right?
Yeah.
Battery charging was my
Yeah.
big thing. Like I was telling you earlier, we had the inverter charger that I realized after the fact that was not going to cooperate with the batteries that we got. Thankfully figured all that out before actually wiring anything in, but yeah, so we're off the bat, we're just going to charge straight off of solar, and then just run that through like 300 amp hour lithium batteries and a 2,000 watt inverter, and see how that goes. Our original plan was to have the option to plug in a shore power, but we're going away from that, at least at the outset, and then we'll see where we want to go from there.
So Colette just mentioned him, but do you know of Jared Tachi?
Ghost Van.
Ghost Van is his handle on Instagram and whatnot.
YouTube, he does a lot of van tour videos.
All right.
Yeah, and he's a cool guy. He's like, we did an episode with him. I've known him. He was actually one of the first like van life people that I reached out to and met when I was like just at the beginning of building my van out. And one of the reasons that I'm like super anti shore power is that I do want my van to be as stealth as possible all the time.
Yeah.
And shore power kind of screams, hey, this is an RV.
Right.
There are probably people sleeping
sure.
in here. If you want to fuck with them, go for it. And on his new van, can't remember exactly where he did it, but he actually put it on the frame of the van, up under the van, sort of.
Oh, wow.
So he can plug in, and when he would plugged in, of course, it would look like he was plugged into shore power, but you're going to be next to a place that's allowing you to have power anyway.
It's like obvious.
But when you're not, it doesn't. There's no outlet on the side of the van or whatever. So
He also has a ridiculous amount of solar on his new one.
yeah, he's
How
got
much solar do you
500
guys
watts,
have?
I think.
We've got
on his.
300 right now.
Okay,
but with the option to, I've got the solar control and everything, so we can run 4 panels, so we can add one more to it.
Okay.
Oh, great. And with the lithium, you'll be...
Yeah.
How's your
good.
shower setup? How's your shower setup work? How does that go?
We've got a 23-gallon freshwater tank underneath the rear bench that runs through a sea-flow pump, and we just got like an RV water filter for it. We have a 2.5-gallon hot water tank that's plumbed in and everything. We haven't tested it out yet. I imagine we're not going to use it that much because it's probably going to draw a lot of electricity.
Right.
But that just goes into like a normal, like we just got like a small shower pan and boxed it all out with this Go board, which is like a foam thing. Took us forever to find it. Because everybody,
it's like a tile backer, basically, like waterproof, that you want to put up instead of plywood, so it doesn't get like warped or anything.
Yeah, and all the local places just had that cement backer board stuff that they use in houses, and it's like, we definitely don't want that. But anyway, found that stuff, lined it out with that. We lined the rest of it out with or on top of that is floor tile,
like a vinyl marble looking, but it's like vinyl, so it looks like marble, so that's pretty sweet.
And that's all like we liquid nails that up and caulked it all.
We used a lot of liquid nails on our van.
Okay.
We're hoping it holds.
Yeah, and then we got like one of those Nautilus like retractable shower door things. It's on its way. It's like in the Amazon, whatever you want to call it. It's in the abyss somewhere, but hopefully it arrives sometime soon.
And what about the shitter? Is it going to be in the shower, or is it separate?
Yeah, that's just kind of like one of those marine / camping
take it out
self-contained
camp
deal.
We were gonna plumb it all together, but it just seemed like way too complicated.
Yeah.
Just
kind of like
and you have
easier.
to find a special dumping facility.
It's like we'll just.
Yeah, and it was complicated enough for me just like doing like the full gravity feed drain system, because I've got like, what is it, like a 3/4 inch hole like straight underneath the shower pan that like I spent probably like, I don't even know, 6 hours in like the Lowe's like plumbing aisle, like trying to figure out like how all this stuff was gonna like interconnect, because you're trying to go from like household plumbing stuff to like, okay, then I want to go to this 3/4 inch tube that's gonna go through my van to this 10-gallon tank underneath. And then everything being gravity fed, just trying to like keep keep everything dropping
Right.
every step of the way.
Yeah.
So it's like going from our sink, which is right behind the driver's seat. Ellie actually had the idea of just running that line at like a 45-degree angle, like the whole way down, and then it goes under the van, like right next to the shower pan.
Okay.
And then it kind of like zigzags back the other direction towards the front to go underneath the tank. Then we've got the gray water tanks hooked up to, I've got a hose underneath that it connects to, and everything's kind of like, it's got a zip tie that's just hanging off of, so it's like tucked up there, but when I need it, I can just pull it off that tie and screw it into like, regular garden hose type of fitting, whatever. And that's hooked up to an electric ball valve to where I just flip a switch and it just starts draining.
Okay.
But
Cool. What's the long-term plan? Like, do you have an idea, or just sort of going with it indefinitely
We're
until it
just
doesn't feel
winging
good?
it. I mean, I think we want to commit to it for like a year
Mhm.
in order for it to like pay off.
Right.
I mean, I
Yeah.
hope we do it longer.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't see us coming back to Michigan.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's other opportunities
Hopefully
elsewhere.
our parents aren't listening to this.
But yeah, I mean, we're just kind of going for it, and definitely now we figure that, like, if nothing else, like, if we do settle in someplace, we hope to just keep the van so that we have,
can travel.
Yeah.
we have our adventure vehicle
Mhm.
like indefinitely. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
You might come across somewhere that you fall in love with.
Yeah, right?
yeah, that's kind of the idea. It's like we don't know.
Yeah,
We don't know
might as
where
well
we
check
wanna be,
everywhere
so-
out, and maybe we'll just build like tiny
Just
homes
flashing
like
it.
around, and then like
Yeah, you never know.
hop from tiny home to tiny home in our van.
There you go.
Yeah.
The pole barn sitch is pretty good, where you can
Yeah.
just drive the van in.
Yeah.
So, just build a pole barn somewhere.
Yeah, I've been trying to. It seems like my dad wants to get one now. Like,
Yeah.
get a van.
Pushing and Sandy. That's the beauty. That's the beauty and the curse of this freedom now, though, is like the wonderful thing is you get to go test out everywhere that you might want to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
But the shitty thing is, like, I mean, my parents, I don't know if they're listening or not, but they claim to every once in a while. But the deal is, like, I'm happy to go to South Carolina for Christmas.
Mhm.
I am not ever going to live there in August.
Yeah.
Now that I've had a taste of Pandora's
Right?
box, you know what I
Right.
mean? And the box is open, and I know about
Yeah.
Southern California, and it's sort of like, but we'll see you guys in San Diego.
Mhm.
And I'm not even asking you to come. I just know you're coming there.
Oh yeah, I love San Diego.
It's the place to
I
be
love
in the
it.
winter,
Yeah.
you know? And then, we chose this trip just now because it was like,
Now's
let's
the
go
time,
to
yeah.
a high latitude, see a
Mhm.
bunch of stuff that we don't want to be around during
You don't
snow.
want to be here
Yeah.
in the winter.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm super curious where it takes us too, because we sort of are in the same boat almost a year later. We're
Yeah.
like, don't know where we're gonna be. You stole the man's seat, man.
It's all good. He's got a tum-tum issue going on.
Well, he would steal your seat.
Yeah. No, he's just got an excuse.
What's the San Diego parking situation for high roof vans?
Yeah, isn't there
Ooh,
something
buddy.
going on there?
Oh, it is
There's a
a
lot going on
it
there.
is a giant shit storm of entitlement down there right now.
Ugh.
So I heard things about like Ventura area. I don't know if it's the same across the board.
You have, so especially in Southern California, because the weather is perfect, because the real estate prices are very high, and because we have 70 or 80 years of coddling motorists to expect free parking everywhere, what you have is the free market adjusting itself to where there's currently the status quo is there's tons and tons of free housing for cars and a complete inadequacy of affordable housing for human beings. And so the free market, as witty and clever as it is, has adjusted such that people are turning that free housing for cars into housing for people
Mhm.
via automobiles, especially in the winter.
Mhm.
And it is great there in the summer too, because like it was just as cool today, probably cooler in Encinitas where we live today than it was here.
Yeah.
Even. And so it's like even the dead of the summer, the weather's perfect, and then middle of the winter, the weather's perfect. But you've got these very wealthy, very influential coastal people who feel entitled to those parking spaces. And to the degree that somebody's getting that real estate for free, they're really angry and jealous about it. And so San Diego actually passed an ordinance.
LA just did, right?
There were these ordinances in place for a really long time. A bunch of disabled homeless people who are living, unlike us, who are living in automobiles out of necessity as opposed to electing to do it. They sued to get these anti-camping in public and anti-sleeping in your car ordinances overturned as unconstitutional, and on 2 different bases. In Boise, Idaho, the anti-camping ordinance was determined to be cruel and unusual punishment, and the car camping ordinance in San Diego was unconstitutionally vague.
Dang.
They've been working on rejiggering those to make them pass constitutional muster, and Los Angeles last year, or the year before, reinstituted its car camping prohibition, and re-upped it this summer because it was about to term out. San Diego instituted a new one that they're hoping is going to pass constitutional muster. Who knows if it will, but for the moment, you can't sleep in an automobile. Well, vehicular habitation is prohibited in San Diego, in the city of San Diego.
Gotcha.
They've started reinforcing the same ordinance in Encinitas.
Oh,
And there are rules like this in different places all over the country, but mostly in Southern California, and because the weather's the nicest there. You don't need a heater or an air conditioner or whatever. But, you know, it's like, if you know how to park and you know where to park, and you don't park in the same place for too
and
long,
you're not parked out front of somebody's house for a while or
you can
something.
get away
like
with
that.
it. We actually broke the cardinal rule. We were in Chicago the other day. We found a place where we could leave the van all of the hours except 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. That was 2 blocks from the theater where I was taking my class. And we parked in the exact same spot every day for 4 days.
Ooh.
And I was in class, and Colette was Spin's au pair, right? Taking him out and like walking him and feeding him and everything. She was in and out of the van all the time. She was making me lunch at my lunch break and stuff. And so these people saw this California van with a dog and a woman. And at one point, right after I went to class, the police knocked on the van.
I'm sitting in there, I'm fixing his dog bed because there were some holes in it, and I'm watching
Sewing it up.
Netflix on my phone, and it's like 45 minutes after we park because we leave every morning when we were supposed to and go to the gym and shower and then make our way back over. And I get this knock on the door, and I'm like, what? And they go, okay, we're going to tow the van, because I wasn't opening it, because I'm not going to just open it for anybody.
Yeah.
Like,
They didn't say
you
they were
never
the
know.
police.
Oh,
They
they're just knocking on the door.
knocked
Oh my
twice, and then they said,
gosh.
okay, we're going to tow it then. And so I put my pants on, and I open the door, and I'm like, hello? And they're like, oh. And I'm like, is there something wrong? And they're like, we got some calls about this van. There was some suspicious activity going on. Is there something weird going on in here? And I was like, no. I was like, my boyfriend's taking a class down the street, and I'm just hanging out with my dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a sweet question to ask also. Like,
Going to the, I know.
yes, of course there is.
I'm like, how am I supposed to answer that? I'm like, I've been just going to the park with my dog every day while my boyfriend's in class. And they're like, oh, okay, your boyfriend's in a class? I was like, yeah, and today's the last day, and then we're leaving. Like, it's just hanging out in here. And they're like, oh, okay, we got some calls. They basically said to me, like, oh, people that couldn't mind their own business were calling. And I was like, well, I can move the van if you want. And they're like, no, you're fine. You don't have to move it. And I was like, okay. I was like, so, yeah, I'm just sitting in here working on the bed and watching TV. And they're like, yeah, you're all good. Like, sorry to bother you. Like, we just had to respond to the call and, like, left. And I was like, it was the first time I had to deal with anything like that by myself. So I was like, he always does the talking. He's just a lawyer. And I'm like, okay. But I was like, just sitting in here. I'm like legally parked in the middle of the day. And they were like, oh, yeah, that's what they said. A girl and her dog acting suspicious. And I was like, all I've been doing is getting out of the van and walking around the town and to the park with my dog. Like, oh, me? Suspicious? Like, okay,
people
cool.
that just aren't used to like seeing someone just like hanging out in a stationary place in a vehicle.
Yeah.
Well,
And it's stranger danger stuff. But
Yeah.
they immediately saw me and they're like, "Oh, this chick's not doing anything."
they expected
wrong.
the van to open up and there to either be a prostitute or a meth
Yeah,
head in
right.
there.
Yeah,
with
and
Just
it's
a plume
like-
of smoke
just
just comes
like
rolling out the
me.
door.
two-legged
Like,
pit bull or something.
Yeah, it's just like me and this cute dog. I'm like, hello.
Just chilling out,
Like
watching some
tiny-
Netflix. It's all good.
And, yeah, I'm like, watching Fuller House on Netflix.
Oh, no, that is suspicious activity. Who watches that?
It's nostalgic. It's really bad. It's so bad, but you just when you want to put on something stupid in the background
you don't
while
wanna
you're
pay
doing
attention to
yeah,
it,
it's like
yeah.
a good show for that. That's
like
why I watch
watching
it
The
when you're not
Bachelor or
around on
something.
purpose.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Total public menace. Just
Yeah, and I would cook in the van. Like I wasn't out, like because we usually cook with the doors open and the countertop because that goes into a countertop
Yeah.
outside. And I was cooking inside here because I didn't want to bother anybody. I was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
minding my own business, and they knew that as soon as they saw me. But it was just really funny. It was like, oh, they called me. Whoever called said I was suspicious.
Weird.
I looked up when she told me this story. I was like, because I spend like an unhealthy amount of time thinking about the comparative ethics of two competing interests and that sort of thing, and like that's what I fucking obsess about now that the van's done. And it's so curious to me because I come from a background of environmentalism and being anti-car. Now I live in one, and I still am fundamentally against providing free public parking for people to leave their unused personal property
Right.
on public space 24 hours a day. I think that that's an asinine way for us to use our most important resource. But if people have access to park their, Maserati or their dune buggy in the street, I ought to be able to cook and watch TV in the street.
Yeah.
And so I looked up the word suspicious when she told me this story. And I was like, and there are two versions of it. Then the first answer is suspicious is a characteristic of a person. People are suspicious, right, of other people. And then there's conduct that, by virtue of the conduct, raises suspicion that there's something untoward or bad going on. But if it's a woman getting out of a van with a dog, picking up shit, walking back into the van and getting back in the van with the dog, there's nothing inherently suspicious about
No.
that, which means that those are fucking suspicious busybodies. Right? So
Moral of the story is, don't break that rule. Make sure you're moving.
cardinal rule is
Yeah.
move
Moving it.
around.
Nowhere to park, move around. Like, generally we try and like walk him and cook elsewhere, and from where we're sleeping, like separate those so that we just park and we go to bed and we don't like
Yeah.
make a bunch of noise, and
Yeah.
we're not like sitting there with the doors open, like being real loud and then
'Cause they would have been-
moving a lot.
They
Yeah.
would have been less suspicious of you probably if you'd had the slider and the back doors open, because they'd have been like, oh, that's a weird thing, but I see I
See
see
what's
everything
going on,
that's
yeah.
going
I was
on.
just trying to mind my own
It's a
business.
pretty,
Yeah,
it's a pretty gross. But yeah, like you can totally hang out in public. You just need to do it
just
way
usually just
away
not
from
where
where
you're
you sleep.
sleeping. Yeah.
Yeah.
The good news is once you get into the West and specifically the Southwest, there's tons of BLM land,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's an app called Public Lands or something like that.
Okay.
And it has overlays of, because National Forest you can't camp in. Wait, no, that's
No,
not
you
it.
can
National
camp in
Park,
National
you
Park.
can't camp in. National Forest, unless they have some specific rules, you normally can. BLM land, you can go there and shoot heroin and guns and whatever the fuck you want to do, because it's sort of like
Probably don't do that.
no holds
Yeah.
barred. I do not endorse either of those things.
Yeah.
But
Don't do
Um,
heroin.
yeah, and so there are like
Or
options, and
shoot
you just sort of have to learn all of that stuff.
What is like your go-to like spot to try to like find each night or whatever?
We've got a couple of little nooks in Encinitas. For a while, because of the San Diego ruling, the Ninth Circuit Court ruling that law unconstitutional, they sort of quit enforcing all of them. And so there was this spot in Encinitas where there's an old shut down school and there weren't many residences there, and you would wake up for 6 months. You would wake up and there'd be 12 vans or RVs, like
Please.
just
Oh my God.
like all down the corner and stuff. And it
Which
was
made
super
it-
cool.
But it made it really easy when they decided they wanted to bust everybody.
Yeah.
So
Right.
they just went down 2 blocks and
Yeah.
So, you know, it's that whole thing. You fuck it up for everybody, right? Nobody can camp there now.
Mhm.
But we've got a couple of little nooks. And, you know, one of the other things, and this is basically what Colette just said, but one of the other things you don't want to do is, like, set up a corral. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
It's like you and your homies, that's cool for the daytime park space where you're,
Yeah.
like, cooking and hanging out together and playing music. But,
Disperse.
yeah.
parks are great, beaches for during the day.
Mhm.
Well, talk about when we're traveling at night, how do we find spots? What do you look for in a spot at night as we're on this trip?
Oh, well, obviously you have to be in a place where, oh, and the specific question that you asked earlier that I did not answer is different municipalities are trying different approaches to keep people from parking in their vans. The place where I was most recently working on an environmental campaign, the town closest to the state park where I was working on this environmental campaign is San Clemente.
Mhm.
And they have parking districts there now where parking is completely unregulated all the time except from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. And it's a 30-minute parking space.
Oh my god.
There is no rational reason to
Yeah.
put that there except to keep people from parking their cars overnight,
Right.
right? There's no rational reason to do that. And the thing is, you would have a hard time making an argument that this disproportionately affects people who need to live in their cars, right? And so you don't have the constitutional problem, probably, there that you would have elsewhere. One of the things they've done in San Francisco, which I've seen in a couple of other cities, is they don't allow vehicles of a certain length or height, and it's usually 7 feet or 20 feet long, 7
Oh,
feet
well,
tall or
we're
20
out.
feet long,
Yep.
and you guys are screwed in both of those situations. But the deal is, man, I am betting against my politics because I'm against free public parking. But in every city, we're so entrenched in gifting that to people that you can find a place to park.
Yeah.
You just got to go to the right neighborhood and don't stay there for too long.
And something important we learned was not to park like on the end of a block where you can anywhere where you can get rear-ended. It was really important. That was
yeah.
that
When
was
you
a fun
parallel
one
park-
that we learned. Yeah.
When you parallel park, and somebody told Rishi told us that.
Told us that.
When you parallel park, you always want to try to make sure that there's a bulb out or a curb or another car behind you. So if you
Just
do
gonna
get
smoke
hit,
there, yeah.
you get
Oh my
glanced
God.
instead or grazed instead of
Instead
like
of rear-ended.
smashed.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
While
That's
you're
that's
sleeping.
a good one when it comes to your home to
And
think
then-
about. Yeah.
You're sleeping in the back of the van specifically.
Yeah.
And then it's always best, our primary point of entry and exit is the slider in
Yeah.
the evening. And we always try to park with the slider not in front of a residence so that there's not a residence. Bushes are great, right?
Yeah.
Although, like the
Industrial areas are great.
industrial areas are great, especially with a bigger van.
You see a bunch of RVs around there too. Like they're they're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if
Mhm.
they can do it, you guys are fine.
But the thing about the masking of a bush, the wonderful thing about the bush is that it masks the entry and exit of the van. But like in Colette's situation of not opening the van up and letting people see what she's doing, I was like, what are those people doing
Why
in
is
the
there
bushes
Yeah,
over
van
yeah.
there?
outside?
I don't know. I guess
Why
it's
is
just
Amazon
like
delivering a package so
a
late?
thing that you feel out.
Yeah, yeah.
A bunch of people, we haven't done that yet. We have the canine stickers on the van,
Yeah.
which I think I was telling you about earlier. I think really sort of help discourage people from fucking with the van and also maybe give people a different narrative as to like why there's a fan on top of the van
Yeah.
opposed to somebody sleeping in the van. But I've heard of people, I know people who have gotten like magnets made.
Yeah.
It's like
I thought
some
about
fictitious
Like
business
dry
or whatever.
cleaning.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to say
Yeah.
like waste
Dry-
management.
Yeah, something
system. Yeah.
something stinky that
Yeah.
doesn't involve
Nobody
expensive
wants
equipment.
that.
Like
Yeah,
I don't want to steal this guy's plumbing tools.
No.
Yeah.
They're covered in shit or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. Well, that was a fucking screed on parking.
Yeah, there you go.
What else
There's
is
your
there,
rant.
guys? What else
What,
should we
what are
talk
you
about?
most excited
Hold on.
about?
Hold that question. I gotta
Oh,
restart
okay.
this.
Oh, yeah.
I was
Freaking-
gonna put it on
We're back at
pause,
the-
We're
no.
blitzing through this card space right now.
We're back at the thing. Oh, don't worry about it. Hard drives
Blowing
cost
through,
nothing.
blowing through film, man.
What are you guys most excited about?
Just getting to see stuff, like being out of the house, like for me personally.
Sure.
Like,
Abarth to roll out of here so we can hear each other.
Yeah. Fair enough. Wow, they're really good.
Detroit, Motor City.
Oh yeah.
Ah.
So yeah, what are you excited about?
Just like getting out of the house, like
Yeah.
exploring. I love traveling, so just like
Yeah.
seeing everything, drinking all the beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to drone fly different spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we've been stuck to kind of like, a small circumference, so getting to break out of that and go find some different zones to fly. I'm excited for that. And just, I love driving the Sprinter. Like just having the big windshield view and just cruising down,
like,
especially
floats.
through like Moab and stuff, just looking out over the huge cliffs and everything. It's super cool. So it's
So
fun.
I'm excited to go out west. Is like my favorite.
Yeah,
So we're going to Tahoe for my 30th.
that's your goal.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So well,
Is that this year?
yeah, in October.
All right.
Awesome.
So yeah,
Rad. We went to. I still haven't been to Tahoe.
I haven't been to Tahoe
Mhm.
either. We should go sometime.
yeah,
We went to
October
Yosemite
23rd
in
we'll be there.
October
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
last year.
yeah.
Oh, you feeling better?
Well, go outside and puke then, mister.
What's up, dude?
Are you guys into hiking, climbing?
Yeah,
or any of
we
that?
like hiking.
Okay.
The dogs love hiking.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're,
cool.
like,
Nothing too
obsessed.
intense for the short legs, but
Yeah.
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 They were bred to hunt badgers, so
Mhm.
Yeah.
they hike.
Hey, bud.
Yeah, we like
Cool.
hiking and reading. I'm excited to like just have the doors open and read and
Yeah.
Yeah.
nice air coming in.
Yeah.
BLM land,
That's
man.
awesome.
When you guys get west, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
We and I'll totally drop a pin for you if you want, but we found this spot outside of Red Rock that was just like
Oh yeah.
nothing, nobody, and one of the other like this is I'm embarrassed saying this because you're supposed to immerse yourself into nature, man. But like we went out towards Vegas for her birthday and Red Rock's over there, which is a national park
Outside of Las Vegas.
outside
Yeah.
of Vegas, that's surrounded by BLM land.
Gorgeous.
We found a spot, nobody else around. It was the most beautiful place that we've
Gorgeous
ever
out.
woken up.
Yeah.
And I've got unlimited tethering, so we watched Mary Poppins.
Well,
And we got-
and the reason we did it started pouring,
Yeah.
like torrential
Oh, yeah.
rain.
yeah, it wasn't
in
like
the night.
nighttime time lapse
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
or
yeah.
It
anything
was like
that.
when we were like, late evening time, nighttime, so we like couldn't really be outside anyway. So
Yeah.
we sat in the van with the rain. The best is when it rains because it just like pounds
Yeah.
on the roof. So it's real pretty. Which I don't know if you guys are sick of rain yet, but we get to enjoy
Nah,
that.
it never rains here in the summer. I feel like
It's been
Oh,
dry. It keeps looking like
yeah,
it's
it's
going to
been
storm,
really
but it
dry.
It
Yeah.
rained a lot in Rockford.
Huh?
doesn't. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are
Yeah, it
getting
doesn't
Quite a
rain
bit.
a lot over here.
What's your insulation status on the other side of this?
I've got inch thick. Oh shit! What's it called? Polyiso. You got it.
I got it.
There you go.
Look at that. Heard you talk about
Polyiso
Just heard
in
the
the
speech.
yeah,
Yeah.
in the ceilings
You wanna go
and
sit
the
here?
back doors and the walls.
Come on.
And then I've got polystyrene, just like a 1/4 inch of polystyrene.
So it's the
under
foam
floor.
board type of stuff.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, and I just cut it between the ribs.
Yeah.
And I bought a bunch of that great stuff, spray-in stuff,
Oh,
but
yeah.
That stuff's nasty.
we haven't had to. I've slept in here. She wasn't with me on a Christmas trip where I went across the country and back. And he and I slept in here at like 16 degrees in Santa
Oh, wow.
Fe
Nice.
with no heater or anything. And
Oh,
I had an
really?
electric blanket, but I haven't turned on. So it like
Oh, wow.
works really well.
Yeah.
I closed the fan
Yeah.
to keep a bit of the ventilation from happening, but
If you close the fan though, does it get kind of like damp in here, or does it stay pretty?
not at that temperature.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
At this
Oh, yeah,
temperature, it's summer temperature it would.
you gotta have it.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you guys have 1 or 2 fans?
Just one.
Okay. Yeah, we got the little window fairing things on the front too, so that we can keep the windows
Oh,
cracked
yeah.
all the time.
Mhm.
Even when it rains.
And that sort of helps,
Yeah, it's
you know,
good
I think
idea.
they're usually
Oh, that's
for
cool.
chain smokers or whatever,
Yeah,
but it allows us to keep a little
Or when
crack in
there's
the
a lot of
window.
rain.
When
Places
it's
where
raining,
there are
it
a lot
can
of
rain.
stay open.
Yeah, our
and
back windows vent out. They crank open.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
stuff. Dope. Yeah.
So next
Did you install that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the first thing. That was like the gnarliest
Go
thing.
ahead
It's
and
like
cut a
we just
giant hole in
we
our
just bought
van.
this brand new van. It's like, all right, I'm just gonna jigsaw the crap out of the side of it.
I'm like standing like 20 feet away, like.
The first one I made the hole like way too small, and I we put the window up there like 10, 15 times before it was actually big enough to put
I did
the
the
window.
same thing with this fan.
Yeah. You're like, I could keep making it bigger, but I can't make it any smaller.
Yeah,
Can't
the same
uncut
motto.
it. Yeah, that's super wild. Have you guys gotten weather in the van yet?
Yeah.
Like for it to,
That was
everything's pretty watertight.
Yeah.
I was so stoked when I didn't leak.
we were laughing about that because we had it parked in our driveway in Southfield, because normally it's in the barn,
Yeah.
so it's like it doesn't get anything. We had it parked in our driveway, and we can literally see over the top of it from our bedroom window, and it was downpouring. And I kept going out there and pulling the little like fairing off of it and like checking all around my clock to make sure that it was going. We probably went out there like 4 times.
Yeah, we're like, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
What else? Did we do it?
Yeah, well, we look forward to meeting up with you guys somewhere else and
Yeah.
checking up on you
For
and
sure.
how it's going.
Do a van tour when you get down to
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Most definitely.
Van tour and another podcast.
Definitely.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything you want to plug? Websites?
Oh.
Instagram.
That sort of shit?
Well, we're the Archived Adventure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's our van.
Yeah, the Archived Adventure, Archie's the van,
Yep.
Pixel and Ilford are the dogs. I'm Sandon Volker. That's just SandonVoelker. That's like all my stuff's just my name, which is probably a bad idea because my name's freaking hard to spell.
Well, it's unique, dude. You can have .com anytime you want.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that's where all my
And,
stuff's at.
Yeah, my boudoir stuff is Empowered Beauty Boudoir. That's Instagram, and then it's just empoweredbeautyboudoir.com.
Cool.
So if any van lifers want to, boudoir shoot in their van, that would be
that
awesome.
fun.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
would be super cool.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Sweet.
Good deal.
Awesome.
It's good to meet you
Yeah,
guys.
thanks for having us.
See you in a couple of months when you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we'll roll
Check
through
it
your
out.
neighborhood next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's never been to San Diego, so
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
awesome.
Not a
down
bad
there.
place to hang out.
No.
It's paradise as long as you either own your house already or you're not
Right.
paying rent for some reason.
All right, we did it. That was episode 24 of From the Van, featuring Ellie and Sandon. What's cool is they're coming out to California, and we're going to get to spend some time with them, I think, at some point in the fall or winter. And hopefully we'll have episode 24 sequel, God knows what number that'll be, with them so that we can get a little catch up on how it's been going and all of that once they're out in California. I don't think I mentioned it before, but you know what? If you've made it this far, I really appreciate you, and you already know how to see all of our shit on FromTheVan.com and at FromTheVan on Instagram. Thank you for listening, and we will have another episode for you on Tuesday at From the Van.